This is Lyle Fass of the No Spoof Zone. We are at Anfora, New York City, one of the hottest new, hippest new wine bars, and my personal favorite wine bar of the moment in New York City, in the West Village. And you're here with the owner, co-owner, and wine director, Joe Campanale. And we're going to quickly shift and talk about the producer pages, because these are some of the most beautiful producer pages I've seen on any wine list out there in New York. Not too much copy, nice pictures and some good quotes, and it's like a who's who of, like, you know, producers for No Spoof Zone people. Eric Texier, Edmond Vatan, Sean Onabrier, Jacques Pouffinet, Josko Gravner, Ariana Occhipinti, Gianpiero Bea. I mean, it is unbelievable. What attracted you? Let's talk about the non-Italian ones first, because, you know, you have two Italian restaurants, and I'm sure you're more excited maybe to talk about other wines that are not Italian. How come you choose Vatan? How come you chose Texier? That's a good start.
I mean, these are the wines that I'll find myself drinking when I go out, or that I buy for home. Italy is still my biggest passion. I spent the most amount of time there. I've worked in Italian wine, but I found that every time I go out, I wanted to try something new. And I think that you really find some great wines, especially with these smaller, more hands-on producers in France.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy how many wines I want to drink. I mean, you know, on your Clos Tui Bouffe thing, Puzzala, you know, you've got the Petit Natural, which is a sparkling white. You've got the Terrain Blanc, Petit Blanc, which is like a blend of Menot and Sauvignon Blanc. Then you've got the Chevrony Blanc, Frilus, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Figris, which is like a Sauvignon Rosé, not to get too geeky. And then the Terrain Rosé KO, which is their beautiful rosé. And they're all reasonably priced. Every single wine is mentioned under 50. They're all beautiful. They're all drinking wonderful. And you can't find any list in all of New York, including, I would dare say, 10 Bells, that has 4 bottles of Puzzala on the list. I mean, that is...
And that's exactly it. So we try to find producers that I really care about, I really feel passionate about, and really represent them. I think it's rare that you'll be able to try multiple wines from, if you're not in the industry, you know, it's hard to find multiple wines from the same guy.
Exactly.
Or girl.
Because most wine bars fail at one crucial thing. Not to shift to producer pages, but what do you do on Tuesday nights to enable people to possibly taste these producers?
Yeah, so we've taken this idea of standing behind the producers to, I guess, to a different level. On Tuesday nights, we have producer nights, and I'll open up 5, 6, 7 wines from the same producer and just charge $10 a glass, just so that people can try a lot of wines from the same producer. This way you really get a feel of what they're doing, what they're all about. It's great to have one wine, but if you can really taste a few of them, then you learn a lot about it.
Because that is the way that us industry professionals taste. We'll go to a tasting, there's a table there, they're pouring 9 wines by Puzzala, 10 wines by Texier, you know, 5 wines by Pouffinet. That's the way we taste wine, so we automatically can get a house style and a grasp of what it is. But it's not just, Puzzala is a wonderful producer, and it's not like you can just have one wine on his list. It's a disservice to this guy. He makes like 30 wines of vintage, and that, you know, obviously you can't carry all 30 wines. It's commercially unviable, but you have 4 or 5, and the average Joe can come in and get a totally different view of this producer. You know, you're tasting a sparkling, a couple whites, a rosé. I think it's a fantastic idea. And then you have producer pages like Jacques Pouffinet, and I'm waiting for the Pouffinet night. Has it happened?
Oh, it just happened last week.
Oh, God. Pouffinet, Jura wines, you know, usually someone, you know, will taste a Jura wine, and sometimes they'll love it, sometimes they'll hate it, because they're sometimes in a very oxidized style or what have you. But you've got all the different styles here. You've got, you know, his Vengeance, which is the famous, you could call it dessert wine. I'd rather call it an after-dinner wine. Arbois Blanc Sauvignon, Arbois Blanc Melon Cul Rouge, which is an indigenous grape to the Jura. Arbois Blanc Cuvée Sacha, which is a blend. All different types of vintages here. Arbois Rouge Poulsard, which is this tripped-out red varietal from Jura. Arbois Rouge Pinot Noir, which could be kind of like the gateway Pouffinet wine, I'd say. Pinot Noir, everybody knows it. And you have Trousseau. So you have pretty much the whole lineup of Pouffinet. There is, I mean, first of all, to find a joint that carries Pouffinet is rare. Then all of a sudden you got this place here that has 7 Pouffinet wines. Outrageous. Tell me about Poufiné. What do you think of the Jura wines?
I love Jura wines. But you know, what's really unique about it is that the whites are pretty big, intense, lots of minerality, a little bit of oxidative note. And the reds are very delicate. It's one of the few areas in the world where you'll actually probably drink the reds before, and then the whites will be sort of your main showcase, your entree wine. But I love it. You know, what excites me most about a wine is when you taste it and it can only come from a specific place, or it brings you right back to one place. And when you have wines from the Jura, and especially Poufiné, there's nothing else like it. You taste that and you're like, that has to be Jura.
Unmistakable terroir stamp there, and there's nothing like them. And I applaud you for having all that Jura wine, and especially from Poufiné too, who is, I think, the best producer, I would say, in the Jura. And then we should cover one more section, if I can find it here. You're really into orange wine. And first tell us what orange wine is and why you have so many.
Orange wine is a term given to skin fermented, or skin macerated, I should say, white wines. So skin maceration, so that's the juice hanging out with the skins, something you do with red wine in order to get the color out. But in the modern day, we've been trying to take the skins off of the juice for white wines as soon as possible, so you preserve all the fresh, fruity flavors. It wasn't always that way. White wines used to be made with the skins, and there are a few producers who are sort of reviving this tradition. I think they're really exciting. They have more of the texture and structure of red wines, and the colors are absolutely beautiful. And orange wine is sort of the term given to all the wines that are made like this, but really they're a range from sort of a deep golden to some are actually orange, some are more brown in color. Yeah,
that's really good, because you know, a lot of like the new wine places and people kind of like that roll in our circle, whatever, are really into the orange wines. And what is the public's reaction? Give me a negative reaction and a positive reaction to people who have never, you know, heard of these.
Well, the public's reaction, you know, so at something that I've always believed in, that we do at all the restaurants, is we always serve a chilled red wine by the glass and a cellar temperature white wine. These Anfora aged, or not just Anfora, but the orange wines do really well at cellar temp. So we're able to give a lot of people tastes of it before they have to buy a full bottle. If you're completely new to it, you can order a glass, or you can order a little taste. For the most part, we've had a pretty, you know, we get a pretty adventurous, open-minded crowd. It's obviously it's not something that's for everyone. It's polarizing. You tend to love it or hate them.
Yeah, I love them personally, and I think the selection here is probably one of the best I've seen, because you know, you don't have like, you know, you have the super popular ones, Grosvenor, etc., but you also have Castello della Spida, which is one of my absolute favorite orange wines. They're completely like overlooked all the time. They're a Grosvenor protege, I believe. Really, really wonderful estate. And then you've got Frank Cornelissen, you know, who is like the cultiest cult of all cult wine orange producers, I'd say, from Sicily. So it's just like absolutely a wonderful selection. And now, the orange wines also usually are aged in Anfora. Are all of them aged in Anfora, or how's that working?
Not all of them are aged in Anfora. I'd say that most white wines that are aged in Anfora are orange wines, but not all orange wines are aged in Anfora.